In the world of the small SUV being the king of sales, you'd imagine that, well, BMW wouldn't bring out a limousine, especially not a limousine that's fully electric. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the i7X four-wheel drive, and it has this face that only a mother could love. Now look, I know what you're thinking. This car is not ugly. This car is an ugly duckling. This car's beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or whatever you want to call it. But the front of it is such an imposing lump of plastic and metal that it's actually quite hard to see it from the in. Now we're going to get into the inside. It's an entirely different experience inside the car. But outside the car, if you've seen this thing coming up at you from behind on a motorway, you're going to get out of the way of it, aren't you? It is such a massive thing with this massive grille on the front, which used to be called a kidney grille, but my beautiful people on our channel has now made this the lung grille because these look like two lungs now rather than two kidneys. So much more subtle is the rear end. It's a bit more tame, a bit more quiet, has some beautiful lighting on it, i7 written here, X-Drive 60 written over there. Open the boot, it's a push of a button in the middle. And the boot is commodious. It's not brilliant, it's not the biggest boot, but these aren't designed for the boot space, these are designed for the rear passengers. We're going to get into that in a second as well. You notice that there's kind of spaces where there should be exhaust pipes, but there isn't any exhaust pipes because it's fully electric. And the door, so we'll go around to the driver's door, passenger door here. Rear passenger door is touch and pull, and it opens really wide to get your fat American, to get big people into it. It also is sealed, so if you don't close it all the way, leave it there, it will pull itself shut anyway, so you don't have to slam the door on the passengers. Now let's see what it's like in there for the actual passenger. Obviously, one would have Jeeves to open the door normally, right, if you're going to do this properly. But it doesn't matter, because the door opens really wide, and in certain markets you make these electrically closed, but you're going to pull it here. To reopen the door, it's a push of a button. You don't pull a hand or anything. Now I have a USB converter here. There's a USB-C port on the back of each of the seats. There's also space there for a media thing. You can put in a television if you want to, but I've just converted that to a USB-A for the kids. So the seat itself in its normal mode is fine. If you're carrying 4 people in here, you got someone in the passenger seat, it's absolutely fine. That works perfectly well. Tons of room for everybody in here, and there is a commodious armrest in the center here that has plenty of space in it and has a wireless charger on the top. This is a wireless charger, and there's a wireless charger up front. 2 USB ports in the back of the seats, as mentioned. That doesn't open. Controlling of the temperature is done from a screen back here, the screen in the armrest here. As I touch it, I swipe to unlock like you would on a Google phone, and we're going to go into seats immediately because we can recline the seats. That seat will start to move, and this one will start to move as well when there's space in a second. Obviously, this doesn't work when there's someone sitting in the passenger seat in the front. If the seatbelt is closed, it won't even let you start doing it. So it's not to worry about, it's not going to do it. Now, it also warns you on the screen up there while this is happening, if the driver can't see, they're supposed to reset the seat themselves. So if the driver's unavailable, if they can't see out that wing mirror over there. Why do they do that in the first place, I don't know. Still moving, we're still going. This is starting to recline now under my feet, so I'm starting to lift my feet up in the air. The seat is still just reclining now. We're not finished yet. We got a long way to go. Sit back, relax, and watch. Maybe I'll turn it into a little bit of fast motion to get this over with. And here's the footrest come out now. And the seat is still moving, still moving. It's got a lovely pillow built in, but we're still extending it. Oh, still shifting about. This is called lounge position. Can you imagine the filth I could have got up to in the back of a car if my original cars when I was a teenager would do this? That's it. Recline-vous. I am reclined properly in the seat now. I can travel on, so Jeeves, you can drive on there if you want to. And that's how that one works. This is it. You can have other modes as well, so that's not the only mode. That's a good one. But you can press that and that will bring the seats. This is like reclining if there's a passenger there. So it goes back into set position 2. It's not brisk, I'll say that, but you can do this on the move once there's no passenger in the front seat. You can get this done. It is extraordinarily comfortable back here, and it's probably one of the most luxurious seats I've sat in a long time. It's really comfortable. For a German car, it's really comfortable. And I'm aware that all the German brands do this kind of thing. They all put something like this in their car. So I'm totally aware that this is quite normal in the car, but it's actually really nice in this car. It works very well. What is sadly lacking is the TVs in the screen to be able to watch television or watch a DVD or watch a Netflix or connectivity stuff. For that kind of thing, I would like to see something like that in the back of the seat. Automatically, when I'm sitting here, the car has turned itself on, not to drive, but has turned on the interior blowers and fans to bring the car up to temperature. From, again, this little pad here, I can adjust things like the blinds in here as well. So I can close all, which will close the side and the top blinds and the back blinds. Everything closes now. The rear blind now is closed. I don't know why the top blind hasn't closed. That didn't close. I don't know why. Something to do with lighting, maybe. Not sure. Then I can open all again. Also in here, I can adjust the lighting mood. In here, the ambiance, as it's called, the ambiance. And I can adjust with the seats. I can turn on massage seat here under me. I can turn on the seat climate control, so I heat the seat or cool the seat as I wish underneath me as well. And I can just reset the whole thing so that seat goes back to normal. It is an impressive piece of electronics that's doing mechanical. It's very quiet. I don't hear lots of buzzing and there's some, but not very many buzzy noises and things going on. The unfortunate bit is this seat doesn't recline no matter what you do. So whether there's a driver there or not, you don't recline that seat. It doesn't do what you want to do. So this is specifically for the rear passenger on the left side of the car, and it is pretty impressive. Anyway, let's have a look and just see what the driver gets out of this, because the passenger has been folded in half and has come back again. Jeeves, open the door. There's a good man. So what does Jeeves get? Because that's much more like what I am. The Jeeves of this. A big tuddy door and a beautifully sumptuous interior. The seats are really, really comfortable and have essentially infinite adjustments on them. You can mess with them up, down, in, out. They can get longer under your leg, shorter. It's all electronically controlled from the screen. I'm going to come to the sat-nav screen infotainment system in a minute because, God, it's complicated. It's very complicated. What's not complicated is this very simple interface in here. Realistically, this is just old iDrive. It works very well. You press the start-stop button, the car starts up once you have a foot in the brake. Handbrake is on, auto hold is on, gear shift is here. There's kind of a crystal plastic thing. Volume control is here. Forward, fast forward and rewind is actually there as well. You can go into your modes, turn on your cameras, make it look for parking spaces, sat-nav, telephone, all from that interface without actually having to interface much with the big screen. In the centre here, there is a dump. And I say a dump because it's almost the only storage you get here in the front is this one pocket. There is a wireless charging tray here, 2 cup holders behind. You open a glove box from that button there, which it doesn't want to open now, probably because the door is open or something. There's some electronic thing stopping it, but it's not much of a glove box. And I have a small cubby hole here that can carry a water bottle similar to this size, but realistically that's all the space you have up the front. So practicality as a chauffeur, which is probably what you're going to be in this car, there's actually not much you can do up here to store things. You're going to have to use that limited boot space to put stuff in. And by stuff I mean cleaning products, stuff for wiping the car down, disinfectant products, masks, all that stuff will always be stored in the boot. Even umbrellas. There's no umbrella up here for a chauffeur. So just so you're all aware, in case you are a chauffeur, a limousine driver, it's a beautiful car, but it's not built for you, and that's for certain. The vents are electronically controlled, so you can open and close the vents here as you wish. It's a little touch screen on the top. Then there's manual controls underneath for moving the vent around the place. On a side note, for some reason I can't stop it blowing cold air onto my hands here from these. Just seems to, no matter what, want to do that. Anyway, glossing over again, press the home button and brought into the iDrive, and this is where things can get very complicated very quickly. The sat nav, when you want to find a charge point, just guides you to a charge point. If you miss it, it will do everything it possibly can to bring you back to that charge point, no matter how much time you have to sacrifice. And then sometimes it doesn't recognise some charge points. Like last night, I couldn't find Portlaoise Plaza charge point on this, even though they were operational, there was no one at them. There eventually was 6 cars at them, but not that moment. I'll come to the infrastructure on the drive. The rest of the infotainment system is actually beautiful. It's beautiful to look at, but it does get a lot of fingerprints on it, and a lot of it is kind of unnecessary. Things like telephone or media interface. There is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is wireless on this car as well for both. You can put it into the wired charge holder, but you can just go into the normal interface system. Then it can be presented with all of the modes that is possible to you. There's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of settings you can get into, some of which you will set and never open again. Other ones you will set and have to mess with every day to try and get yourself sorted, okay? That noise was just me going, because this has, what do you call that mode, where you can turn things up and down with your gesture control. Gesture control, that's what it has. It has a gesture control system built into the bottom of this here. So that does work. Also, there's cameras on the outside of the car, so the cameras can point forward and back, and panoramic parking spaces and so on. Entirely up to you what you want to do. On the door controls here, I do have controls for my own seat, and I can, if I want to, press that and control the passenger seat as well. I can't control the rear seats as far as I can see from up here. I can control all the blinds and all the sun blinds, so I can open all the blinds that were closed in the back last time I was messing with them. I can do that from up here, so that's okay. I can do that part. That's pretty neat. As a chauffeur, again, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I have a boost mode. I'll get into that in the drive. Active cruise control and some controls for controlling my stereo system that's in the car as well, which is a Bowers & Wilkins stereo system, and it's absolutely awesome. There's even speakers in your seat, like subwoofers that vibrate your back. Amazing. Again, it's a push button open the door. There is a handle down low. If the push button fails, you can pull a handle here and it will actually open the door. It'll override the opening of the door. But other than that, it is beautiful in the front, but I think it lacks a little bit of storage. I really do. I think just the practicalities. If I'm going to be that person's driver for 6 months or 12 months of the year, or I'm just going to do it on a daily basis for various people in a luxurious sense, I don't want to just be comfortable. I want them to be comfortable. So I want to be able to carry spare water for them and things. I know some of that will go in the boot, but I don't want to take all their boot space either. Just little things, small things. Let's go for a spin and see what it's like on the drive, because you have to test that suspension, don't we? So come on. We'll take a chauffeured drive with Jeeves, huh? So from the moment you get in, it's hard to detect you're in an electric car. It just doesn't feel like grippy long bonnet, all that sort of stuff. It just doesn't feel like an electric car. Sorry, it started up there. Because the fans had already started, so it completely put me off there. It threw me for a second. Anyway, we get in, and we're in a cocooned environment that is away from all interference with the outside world. Listen to that rolling out. Now I know that camera will have gone a little bit dark, but I'm using the outside world, inside world. I'm trying to get your ear attuned for how quiet these cars can be. There's a faint rumble, and I'm talking about a faint rumble from the tyres. And this road is very rough. I've been on this road multiple times, multiple cars. The surface of this road is actually quite rough. It's quite coarse, like sandpaper that's missing bits as well. Now, what's also awesome for a German car for sure is how that suspension works. It actually is beautifully cushioned from the road. It feels like something in a different class. Not just the 7 Series, but I'm talking about something in the classes above that again, even further up the food chain. This car feels like we're coming into daylight now, out of the forest. Hopefully you're getting a good view from that rear camera that I've put in of how it looks to the driver, how it looks from the passenger seat back forward to us. Power-wise, well, it's not lacking power, if I'm honest with you, but what it is lacking is range. I'll tell you about that in a minute. There's that noise that Hans Zimmer made for these BMW crowd. They've used it in every car since. It is still gorgeous. I do have modes, so I'm going to go to my modes here. I have personal sport, efficient, expressive, relax and digital art. You've got all of them, and all of those are choosable from the rear seats as well. So you can actually choose them from the back passenger seat. So they can have a say over what happens up on your screen, because when I go into digital art here, you see all of the screens change. Even my heads up, even not my heads up display, but my instrument binnacle here changes as well. It's actually quite impressive. So as usual with BMWs or any other cars here, we get ripped off because of VRT and taxes. Taxes are lamped onto this car, even though it's as a zero emissions car, because it doesn't actually emit anything. Yes, it does while charging. No, it doesn't while driving. There's no fumes coming out of this in any way, shape or form. The car just wafts along the road, and waft you will. Now, I do have some reservations about the infrastructure of this country, and I have some reservations about using an electric car for long range driving. If your general daily drive is less than 100 kilometers, you're going to be fine in an electric car, all of them, this one included. So if Jeeves picks you up from home and you drive from somewhere in a luxurious, I don't know, Dalkey or somewhere like that, and you're driven down into the middle of Dublin city centre and you're dropped off, and that's your whole daily commute, buy this car. You don't need anything else, because you will emit zero emissions and you're going to be in total comfort for that 20 minutes or half an hour in the car. But if, like me yesterday, me and the fam wanted to go down to Limerick for a little visit, and I met some lovely people in there, thank you very much everybody, and we went and had some lunch, and we bought a few bits and pieces for my travel gig. I bought a little battery charger thing and a few other bits and pieces, and I left with 75% battery, and then on the way back I had enough to make the return journey in one shot. But the machine, the system started talking to me about wanting to stop for a charge, and that got me thinking about charging. Going, do I need to stop for a charge? Really, I don't know if I can stop for a charge. I should be able to make it home in one go. It should be fine. And then I started to get anxious about needing a charge, and I didn't need a charge, but it made me anxious, and I started to get range anxiety. I was going, I don't need a charge. I can make it home in one go. But anyway, we didn't stop for a charge, and the machine never stopped nagging me to stop me for a charge. It even started nagging me in Portlaoise to go to Portlaoise Plaza and go to Lidl and go to anywhere you could find a charge point. It wanted me to go to Junction 14 at one point. It just never stopped. It just seemed to have this problem with it. And if I actually go in now, just go into that there, and I click on the plug, which will show me the nearest charge points to me. It says Abbeyleix Road is the nearest one to me now, DC, and it does give me the 50 kilowatt, whether it's 50 or 130, whatever. That Portlaoise Plaza one, it says 130, that's a lie. It's not 130, it's 48. That's its max. It's been that way since it opened. It never got fixed. Never ever got fixed. Like, this is not difficult stuff. I complain about this all the time in my lives, in my TikToks, and on here on videos. I complain about that one, because people think it's... A man nearly arguing with me last night getting a bloody charge, talking to me, oh, so you want to get on the fast one, and I go, they're both the same, they're both 250. Anyway, another thing it doesn't do is tell me whether there's someone at that charger or not. I don't see any... It says it's 8 minutes from here, but it doesn't say anything about whether there's someone at the charger using it now. So I don't know if the communication has been set up between the two of them. Now, that shouldn't take away from just how phenomenal this car is. For an electric car, it is the most luxurious electric car I've ever driven. And I've driven EQS as well, and that's not far off, but this is a limousine. The EQS is an S-Class. There's something unique about both of them. Now it's all up to Audi with their A8. in an i8 or an e-tron i8 or whatever way they want to do it. They'll have to do that next, because I think that this one is the best you can buy. And just to throw the prices in there as well for you, in Ireland currently this car stands 148 grand for what I'm sitting in right now. That's all the bells and whistles you see right now, including all this lit bit and all these things that light up at night time and everything else is on it. It's 148,000 euro, which is a lot of money in anybody's budget, particularly since you don't get DVD players or Netflix players or all that stuff. None of that's in the thing in the back. You do get digital art, it never changes. At least I don't see it changing. Anyway, it's a lot of money. Would you be interested? I want to know. Would you want to buy a car like this? I think we need to pull over and have a chat about not only the i7, but also a little bit about taxes, charges, and why the ESB still aren't getting up to the game. So if you want this car on the road in Ireland, it's going to cost you about 26,000 euros in VAT, valued out of tax, and in 9,584 euro and 56 cents in VRT, vehicle registration tax. That's just for the license plate on the front of the car. That brings us to a grand total of 148,828 euro and 64 cents for everything standing in front of you, including the charging cables for public charging, active towers, and Ionity access as well. Doesn't mean it's free or anything, it just means Ionity. It's a busy road here. But look, let's just talk infrastructure for a second, because ESB, as I complained in my video there, still haven't fixed the public charging network. And as far as I can estimate, we still have a shortage of chargers. So much so that I've been at multiple chargers over the last couple of weeks, and at those chargers I've seen queues of 5 and 6 and 7 cars, and online I've seen queues in the UK of 20 and 30 Tesla chargers at Tesla charge points. We have them here in Ireland as well, but no queues at them. Not quite as many Teslas on the road here as there is in the UK, but this is a serious issue. This is a serious problem that's being entirely ignored at the moment by our government departments. They say there's going to be enough chargers, that private companies will solve the problem, and yet last night there was a queue of 6 cars at 2 chargers in Portlaoise Plaza. Both chargers put out 50 kilowatts, 48, 50 kilowatts, should be 130 and 50. It is only 250s. But people, that's halfway across the country. That is the first charge point you meet on your way to Cork and Limerick, which is all the west coast of Ireland. And if you're going to Galway, you've got a selection of other ones which are just as miserable on the way out. Now, it's not my job to be getting on to ESB or government departments, but if we're going to be driven into these cars and not given an option of what to choose and what we can and can't drive, well, then the infrastructure has to be there in better quality and quantity than it is right now. So a 50 kilowatt charger is no longer a fast charger. I do believe that we need to have at least 100 kilowatts for it to be counted as a fast charger in the proper parlance. 50 and below is now standard. Anything under 7.5 kilowatts or 7.5 kilowatts itself is a slow charger. These are the numbers we need to worry about. The size of the battery in this car means that I'm going to be stuck at a charge point for at least 2 hours at a 50 kilowatt charger to get a full charge from low charge. And I'm sorry, but adding 2 hours to my journey, which would normally be 3 hours to wherever I'm going, now becomes a 5-hour journey, just is not acceptable. Leaving all that aside, this car is one of the best cars I've driven this year. This and the BMW X1 would be my 2 favourite cars I've driven over the last 3 or 4 years. They really are come a long way. They really have just stepped up the mark a lot. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've hit the subscribe button, because you should have at this point. If you watch this far into the video and you like it, I'll rant. Subscribe. That's what you get around here. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you on the far side. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my charge and this before I have to go and charge it up again. Swanning about the place, driving the car. Thanks for watching. See you next one.